I think I am live. Hello, everyone. A bit later than anticipated, but that is the joys of lockdown. Um, so I'm jumping on live today to talk about more about the Danish tradition of fastelavn. Now, I did a post last week, but the response to that has just been really overwhelming, and so many people wanted to know more. So I thought I would talk about fastelavn today as well, which is very apt because if you look at the tradition, it is very much tonight as well. The name fastelavn actually comes of German origin, what we call Platttysk. So if or Platttysk, Plattdeutsch, if you speak German, and it means the evening before the fast. So anyway, I'm going to talk much more about that. If you are watching this, please let me know by sending me a thumbs up or a heart or somehow engaging with this, because the way Facebook works is the more people that engage with it, the more people will actually know that there is a live video now. And the joys of the lives is that you can ask me questions and I will do my best to answer them as I am going through this as well. So hello to everyone who is watching. People are coming on slowly, and sorry about the delay in jumping on this morning, but the joys of living in lockdown. It's half term and just getting everything to work with my family as well. It's always it's lots of fun. Anyway, it's a lovely grey day here in the UK where I am calling from, and I think if ever I needed fastelavn in my life, it's probably today. So, first of all, fastelavn is it's one of those traditions, and I think it's become so popular and long-lasting because of its many different roots. Now, you have it very much a Danish tradition, and actually, I stand corrected because they do celebrate it in Norway as well, but not with all the bits that we have in the Danish tradition. Now, in Sweden, they will normally refer to fastelavn as fetish day or fetishdagen, which basically means fat day, Fat Tuesday in the UK. And in Finland, they got, and I hope I pronounced this correctly, laskiainen, which again is a mixture of many different traditions. The one thing that all of these traditions have in common is the fact that, excuse me, is the buns. Okay, so we call them fastelavnsboller in Denmark, or shrove buns in Sweden, and also in parts of Finland they will call them semla. And it's the tradition is very much linked on the fact that this is the type of year now you have to kind of fatten up before the Lent. But also it's got some kind of heathen / pagan roots in there, which I think is one of the reasons why it also has a lot of popularity. Now, let me just backtrack. So fastelavn is originally, it means the evening before the fast, and that's the fast as in the Roman Catholic fast. Now, in Denmark, it kind of became the name for the 3 days leading up to the fast. So the Sunday, the Monday, and the Tuesday. And in modern Denmark, fastelavn is normally celebrated on the Sunday, Monday. The way that it's celebrated very much these days is that there's a great emphasis on the children, and the children will often gather, if they can, with their parents, or otherwise maybe in a school setting, because schools, they will celebrate this in schools as well, with the knocking down of the barrel, which I will get to in a minute. So traditionally, because it's the time before the Lent, it's all about eating and drinking as much as you can, okay, because ahead you would have 40 days where you would maybe not be allowed to have any meat or fish, and it was all about trying to put as much fat on the bones, so to speak. Now, later on, actually Denmark became Lutheran, so they had a Reformation in around 1500. So it became more of of a whole week of festivities, and the church actually wanted to outlaw it because they thought, oh, it's part of this has got heathen traditions and other parts have got to do with the Roman Catholic Church, which we wanted to separate from. But it was so popular amongst people that it kind of stayed, and it still is. So if we backtrack all the way to maybe even, you know, Viking times and so on, that's where the traditions of the fastelavn comes in. So it's the bouquet of the birch twigs, and to some extent this also links into other New Year traditions, where it's all about making sure that you have a fertile year ahead, an abundant year ahead. So with the blessing of the plough and so on, and some of those traditions I've spoken about before, you would basically get your bouquet of birch twigs, and you would kind of what we call ris, so you would basically hit the plough, or you know, your cows or whatever you needed to be as fertile and as abundant, you know, create the abundance for you in the year to come. They might also have, you know, like been giving, you know, the ladies, the women, you know, I read somewhere that, you know, also the virgins, you know, they would be kind of given, you know, a gentle little whipping with this birch bouquet, simply because they wanted to make sure that, you know, they would be fertile, I guess, have lots of children in the year to come. Now, this day, it's very much more of a, a non, how shall I say, a lot of people don't view it as such. It's more of something that you do with the children and a way of connecting with nature. And in some parts of Denmark, and again, the traditions around fastelavn vary hugely, and Denmark is such a tiny country, but depending on where you are, it'll vary hugely. And in some areas, the children will on the Sunday morning, they will be standing there with their fastelavn trees, so their birch bouquet by the parents' bed, and they'll be knocking on the bed to wake up their parents. Other parts of Denmark, that is not common at all. So the thing is that the way you decorate your fastelavn trees still kind of brings back, I guess, some of the old tradition and what it actually symbolizes. So when we decorate in a modern sense our fastelavn trees, we decorate it with lots of beautiful colors. You might have, you know, like drawn, cut out pictures of fruit, or flowers. It's very much about the colours and the abundance of spring that you kind of put on there. And often you'll have pictures of black cats as well, because the cats are very much interlinked with the Danish fastelavn tradition. And in a way, the cats are on there as a symbol to ward off all evil, if you like, within the fastelavn tradition. So around actually the whole tradition with the barrels, let me just go back to that as well. There's so many different things to fastelavn. The tradition with the barrel is thought to have arrived in Denmark in the 15th century. Dutch farmers actually took that tradition with them as they migrated to Denmark. And originally it was actually, it's very much the adults that were kind of hitting the barrel. In modern day, the barrel will be filled with sweets, but in olden days, as the name knocking the cat off the barrel will suggest, unfortunately there was a cat in there. Again, it links to the thought that a lot of evil were in cats. So cats were, and it's dreadful to think about in modern days, but they were tortured, you know, all over the world because they thought they possessed the evil. So they have been thrown out from church towers, they've been thrown into burning fires, and unfortunately they were also being put into barrels. Now that has been stopped, thank goodness, for a very long time. But that's where the name comes from, knocking the cat of the barrel. Originally, it was the adults that were knocking the barrel down, and as I said, it was like a whole week of festivities for grown-ups. They would dress up, they would eat, they would drink, they would gather, and very much the knocking of the barrel would happen in many places with people on their horsebacks. So the barrel would be high up, and people would be knocking it down. And there were different prizes to be won depending on, you know, where you were. Maybe you wouldn't need to pay tax for a whole year if you knocked it down, or maybe you got like a special status within the community for the following year. As I said, the church really didn't like this whole thing because it had nothing to do with the religion in Denmark at the time. And also because people would gather and drink and all of that, you know, it was sometimes it would cause problems, you know, because obviously, you know, it could lead to riots and things like that, which I believe did in Copenhagen. Nowadays, the barrels are filled with candy. And the way it works is that you all the children line up. Normally they've got different barrels for different ages so that it's fair for everyone. For the younger kids it's a cardboard barrel, for the older kids it'll be wooden barrels, and then there's, again, the traditions vary hugely. So depending on where you are, often there will be a prize for the one who knocks the bottom out of the barrel, and there'll be another prize for someone who knocks the last piece off the barrel. So whether that's the last piece of wood or whether that's the last piece of cardboard. It's a bit piñata style, but the tradition is very much that all the candy is shared. So everyone gets a fair share of what comes down, and often the kids dress up as well, and then there'll often be a prize for the best dress. Now, the dressing up, people ask me, oh, do they dress up as something special? No, not really. But traditionally it's homemade costumes, and someone told me that because Denmark is still, you know, affected by the lockdown, not as bad as in the UK where I am here right now, but only some schools were allowed to have this. So some kids were very upset that they didn't get a chance to actually knock the cat of the barrel this year. But I think the ones that did have some kind of celebration, they've enjoyed it more than ever because there's been even more time to kind of make your own costume. Other traditions linked to fastelavn would be what we in Denmark called rasle. So you would basically go from door to door to collect money. Now this goes back to, again, probably we know around 1920, 1910 maybe, where the grown-ups would be doing this as well. And often the young men would come around on their horses before knocking the barrel down, and they would collect money from people in the community. That money would be going to like a big feast that everyone was invited to, and part of that was the knocking down of the barrel as well. So in modern days, children might go, obviously not in pandemic times, but again, it depends on where you are in Denmark, whether people or the kids go around and they will sing a song. And someone said, oh, it's a bit like Halloween, but it's not like Halloween. It's not to be scary, it's to sing a song, and you are hoping to get either buns, fastelavnsboller, or money. So some places there will be candy as well, but those are the traditional things that you'd be given. And the song that they're singing is what I've already posted in my Facebook group here, is all about the buns, you know, buns up, buns down, buns in my tummy. If I don't get any buns, I will be causing problems. And it's a way, I guess, again, if you go back to the really old traditions of this, that you want to make sure that you have a fertile, abundant year ahead. So you want to get rid of any problems, and you'll do that by kind of giving an offering. So the offering in this case would be to the kids in the shape of fastelavnsboller, buns, or money. And if you go back to the old, really old tradition as well, or pagan tradition of this thing and so on, it's very much about just counting your blessings and making sure that you've got an abundant year ahead. Okay, this is the time to do it, so to speak, in this in-between period before spring actually arrives. So in Denmark, the kids would very much go out and collect the twigs. And I think, again, it's a way of connecting with nature. And the kids would help to also decorate this. But having said that, you can obviously buy ready-made twigs in Denmark as well, fastelavnsris. And I think that started about the 17th century, you know, like that people could buy it, you know, ready-made. But in my family, it's always been the part that you kind of want to go out, you want to collect it, and you want to make something beautiful out of it. And then you make a display of it, and you make a display of it in your house for probably about a week. And then what we do in my family is we kind of recycle all the little bits and pieces. We take the best things and keep them, and obviously the twigs we will often put on the bonfire as a little ritual as well. Maybe roast some marshmallows on there just so that my son can have a bit of fun with that. The whole thing about the twigs, again, a lot of people ask me, oh, do they need to be like a special twig? Now, originally, they are birch twigs because of the fertility symbol, and also because of someone wrote to me, and I thought this was absolutely beautiful, that birch trees can almost live, you know, endlessly. So there is that link into the whole fertility thing. But you could also use whatever other twigs you've got nearby. When it comes to actually having that symbol of luck and fertility, if you like, abundance, in many cultures, and I know especially in Germany as well, there is still this, that it's good luck when you see a chimney sweeper. And the reason, actually, a lot of people don't know maybe why that's good luck, but it's again because they would have some branches, a ris, as we would say in Danish, which was a symbol of good luck and fertility, and that's why there's that link to chimney sweepers actually being good luck. But like I said, a lot of people don't know that. And also, actually, I think a lot of people in Denmark don't really know why we celebrate fastelavn the way that we do, or why there's so many layers to it. Bottom line is really you can make it your own. I think it's always good to know why the different elements are in there. But the way I see it, and the way we celebrate in our family, is very much that it's kind of a welcoming of the spring in many ways. And I have to obviously mention the fastelavnsboller as well. So the buns that we create. So there's different ones. Okay, so the ones that you normally will see, seen the most probably, are the ones that got cream inside. So they're almost like a pastry kind of bun, often made with buttermilk and spiced with cardamom. And then they will often have, thanks Saran, glad that you're finding it interesting. Yeah, guys, don't forget to ask me questions as well. Okay, I sometimes jump from one place to the next in these talks, but that's because there's a lot to cover. But if you've got any questions, make sure you get them in. So the fastelavns buns are normally filled with kind of cream, and then I know my parents would always love the ones with like prune jam in them, and not really my kind of thing. Or you could have like a vanilla cream, or you could have strawberry or something like that. In recent years, you get a lot more, how shall I say, culinary ones, maybe with blackberry cream and a bit of blackberry jam in them and things like that. And maybe I'll dig out a picture. Sometimes, you know, when I go home and I go to the bakers, I have to try one of each because they look amazing. But normally you have the cream ones, and they will often have some kind of sugar glazing on top. They're pretty much the same, I think, whether you go Finland, Sweden, or Norway, or even Denmark. And then I know in the part of Denmark where I'm from, we've got what we call the old-fashioned ones, which I like to think the slightly healthier ones. So they haven't got the cream in them, but they've got like a marzipan-y filling instead. So Danish people are generally absolutely crazy about marzipan, and we tend to put it in a lot of stuff. And again, they are made. These are made like with buttermilk and cardamom, and you then put the filling inside, and again you bake them at quite a high temperature, and then you put some sugar glazing on top. Or my favorite is dark chocolate glazing on top. And yeah, we eat them kind of the week leading up to, or the whole week of fastelavn, although I tried to get mine out of the way by today, also because I live in the UK, and here we've got the tradition of pancakes, so it's pancake day here. So my husband will always insist that we make pancakes on what they call Fat Tuesday in the UK. So that's kind of going 360 on your fastelavn. So it's got many different elements to it. It's got a lot of tradition to it, and it's quite funny. Even in Denmark, the traditions vary, as I said, really hugely from area to area. Even the recipes for your fastelavnsboller, especially the traditional ones, or the old-fashioned ones that haven't got the cream filling, they vary quite a lot as well. And yeah. And as I said, in Norway, they will also have the fastelavnsris, I believe. Region, again, it can vary quite hugely from region to region. And also, it kind of links into some other traditions that are coming later on in the year. There's many ways that Scandinavians bring nature into the home, and the whole decorating of branches and bouquets of branches is very, very big. So I had some people ask me, what about the pussy willow? I like to bring the pussy willow into my house and decorate that. And yes, we do that as well. And I mean, sometimes I have seen that used as well for fastelavnsris. I think normally in Denmark, you would use that later on in the year. And there is this tradition as well of doing like Easter bouquets that you kind of, which are basically, again, twigs, or if you can find a nice, we call them troll twigs, which is a nice curvy, a long branch or something like that. You can then decorate that, or you can get a bouquet of pussy willow as well to decorate for your Easter celebrations. There are all ways of kind of going back and engaging with nature. And as I said, the fun bit, I think, is very much to go out and find these and then bring them back into the house and really enjoy them. So that was a lot of information about fastelavn, and I thought I would just kind of do a quick post last week mentioning that it was going to happen, but I think a lot of people have really enjoyed it. And thank you to everyone who's kind of shared pictures with me of how you've taken this tradition to heart. I really, really appreciate that. I also thought it was really interesting that some people say, oh, you know, my parents were Danish and I've never heard of this. And it's really interesting, because I think it's because of the roots of this tradition. And some people will go like, oh, it sounds a bit too pagan, you know, maybe I don't want to go there. And for others, it will just be a thing that you do. For my parents, I think the main thing these days will be mainly to kind of have the buns. You know, they haven't got kids in the house, so they probably don't bother with making the fastelavnsris, but they will still have the cakes. They will still try and fatten up. Thank you very much, Saran. Glad you've found this useful. And obviously, to anyone else who might be watching this video later on, don't forget to put in comments, #replay. And if you've got any questions, then please make sure that you put them in there as well. Right, back to my family. It's been a bit of a crazy morning here in my house, but it's all good, and we're looking forward to our pancakes tonight. I think I've mentioned everything that I want. I normally make a list now. I try and do bullet points so I get everything in. So I hope I got everything in. But yeah, if you've got any other questions, then please feel free to get in touch. Have a lovely day. Bye.